Grizz is the official producer now, so we're actually gonna title him. I think we talked about it yesterday. Title him as the producer, depending on how much money he wants, because you know he's gonna want more money if he has an official title.
Oh yeah, that'll be a promotion. Yeah.
I want you to look at the story I just posted on my Instagram real quick, if you can pull it up.
Oh, I saw it.
Did you?
It's AI.
know.
It's AI of a very large obese woman coming out of the back of an ambulance on a gurney, and then there's another woman riding up on a large hog, and she's a hog.
She's got a Christmas tree.
And she has a Christmas tree in her hand. Did you see it, Grizz? And it's just
I saw that at the coffee shop just a little bit ago, and I was laughing so hard. I don't care if it's AI. That is funny.
The AI videos, there's something about the way they look. My brain doesn't like them. Like, even the ones that are supposed to be real. Like, there was this one of this German Shepherd dog, like a military dog, jumping alone, static line out of a aircraft. And at first I was like, whoa, that's so cool. And then I watched it for a second, and there's just these, I'm sure that will change soon. But right now my brain will pick up on these little things. And I'm like, I don't think this is a real video. And sure enough, it wasn't.
Well, you pick up on it better than me, because I've seen multiple videos that I was like, dang, did you see that deer jumping on that trampoline? Or and you're like, that's not real. So I don't know how you pick up on it so much better than me. But like, when I first saw that video of that big fat woman coming out of the back of that ambulance, I was like, holy crap, I thought it was real. And then you could tell it wasn't real when she hits the car that's coming up behind her.
What about the woman riding the pig holding the Christmas tree? I feel like that was the moment when I realized it wasn't real.
And the woman on the pig is so fat too. I don't care that was AI. That made me laugh so hard.
I think I sent a video to you or Corn, Grizz, of these guys on a offshore fishing boat, and they're like, oh, here comes a pod. And it's a bunch of really obese white women, and they're jumping out of the water like dolphins, and there's just a huge swarm of them. And they treat the video just like an amateur filmed video of guys fishing and like seeing a pod of dolphins, but it's all these like morbidly obese.
Yeah, you got to send me that. I'm trying to incorporate some humor into my social media presence. Humor has never been a part of my personal brand, because I'm not good at humor. Like, well, Blake and Chili will tell you I'm actually the funniest person in the whole crew.
They just suck up to you because you're the boss.
But I don't ever try to be funny. And I cannot understand stand-up comedy.
Oof.
People love it. I mean, people go, Chili and Jeff will go and watch these stand-up comedy shows, and Joe Rogan has a whole thing built, what do they call it, the Mothership or something. It's all stand-up comedy. I have never personally seen a stand-up comic routine that made me really laugh. What did we get to laughing about on the couch in the house? It was like yesterday or the day before. We got to laughing so hard about something. You remember that? I think you were standing in the kitchen.
Yeah, I was giving you some kind of correction. It was some like I was giving you a hard, I don't remember.
Oh, I interrupted you, remember?
Yes. You've made, that's what it was. You have made a habit of, if I'm asking you, even if it's polite, to do something or to not do something, you'll hint my tone that I'm about to like give you instruction, and you'll cut me off mid-sentence and be like, I'm already doing it. And so you've, and I asked you nicely 2 days ago, yeah, I was with Nelson. I was saying, do you have the dog? And before I could get that out, you were like, I got him. And I was like, hey, babe, will you not interrupt me like that? If you don't like what I say, will you let me finish and then tell me like, I have the dog, thank you though, or something. And then you just did it again. I don't know why we thought that was so funny.
We were laughing so hard about that. Those are the biggest laughs I've ever had in life, is when me and you get on something just randomly. I think one of the hardest laughs
it involves
we
Grizz.
ever had.
I remember
was
this.
involving Grizz. It was that meme of that big old fat lady. Fat people are always involved usually.
Yep.
That big old fat lady. And what did the meme say?
I don't remember. Oh, it said something about when Chardell says you need another surgery after you just had surgery.
Yeah. But I'm saying, what did the fat lady? It was like,
she was making a face like this, and it was like, huh, or who, or something like that. What? Oh, it was what? What?
Yeah.
Nobody's this podcast sucks so far. Nobody's understanding any of this.
We made that meme of Grizz when he was going through his whole series of surgeries, and he had some doctor. He still has some doctor named Sherdale. Sherdale that he swears by this doctor, and dude, we laughed until our bellies hurt about that dang meme, man.
Yep. That was great.
But yeah, stand-up comedy just don't do it for me. And
I like it.
You do like it?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a favorite stand-up comedian?
I liked old school. Like, I liked Bill Engvall. I liked Mitch Hedberg. He's gone. And then Chili's turned me on to quite a few people who I think are funny. I don't remember their names. I'm just impressed. I'm really impressed when I watch you speak, because I know you don't use notes. I know you don't have your phone. You're not referencing anything. And that's what those comedians do. But I think their success relies so much on the feedback of the audience versus I feel like you can go crush a speech and have half the audience is just like, meh, but
asleep.
You still crush it.
Yeah.
But like, if that happens with a comedian, they failed. Like, if people don't laugh, I don't know. I just wouldn't want to do that.
There's something to me, though, about when it comes to laughter and humor. I guess if I nailed it down, what the things that are funny to me and really make me laugh are spontaneous. If I'm in an environment that is supposed to be funny, like somebody is intentionally trying to make me laugh, which is the stand-up comedy thing, right? You're going in there and it's like, okay, yeah, this is supposed to, I don't know, it kills it for me. But when something happens, like I see this, that was spontaneous. I saw this video, this AI video that I posted on my story, and I was just cracking up about it because I wasn't expecting to get a good laugh in.
Yeah.
You know, but the funniest moments have definitely been with us because you are good at humor.
I'm pretty funny. Grizz knows how funny I am. I'm pretty dang
You
funny.
are dang funny, man.
Thank you.
I guess we should introduce you to any new listeners. This is my wife, Brooke, and she's coming on the podcast today. This will be coming out on Christmas Eve. So
yeah, I used to be
Merry
a regular
Christmas.
on the podcast, and then you guys kicked me off.
Yeah.
Still bitter about it, but I've accepted that,
Merry
you guys don't allow
Christmas.
women in anything of 3 of 7. It's just
Whatever,
how you
boo-boo.
guys are.
What do you got there? Did you read that? I'm sure you didn't read that whole note.
I read the first page and a half, and it's super sweet. It is from, I'm going to finish it after we start because we started the podcast quick. It's from Matt and Laura Eldridge. They said they've been passing this baby goat in a store, and its name is Gus. And they kept thinking that they should buy it for us, so they did. It was really sweet. That kind of stuff is really sweet. Also, this does look like something we would have in our house. So I will be giving Gus to Chags for sure.
Yeah, that's a cool goat.
It's a fine
sure.
goat. Yeah, that was really sweet.
My Brooke is pregnant with our first child.
Did you just pull up your app?
No.
Oh.
A son. I pulled this up because you made a post on Instagram about kind of going through some of the things we're going to talk about on today's podcast. And I saw a comment on that post you made this morning. It says, "Your husband is one of the least attractive men on earth. I can't imagine laying next to him at night and having to pretend that you are attracted to him."
What? Let me see that.
This is apparently a guy. Who knows? It could.
Let me see.
Who knows? It could be a bot, but
Oh, that's 100% a bot. He has the Michael Jordan as his profile picture.
Yeah.
It is 100% a bot. Wow. There's so many wonderful comments on that, and that's the one you chose to read on the podcast?
It literally just popped up on my feed this morning, and I saw it. I was like, wow, that guy right there really, if that's a real guy, he really doesn't like me. So, pregnancy. How's it going?
It's good, but I mean, you know how like methodical I am. I would rather start back a year or so ago and kind of like go through, because that was my understanding of how you wanted to do this, was like,
we're going to do whatever you want,
like,
baby.
How did we get here? Because everybody knows that's close to us that we've said we were never having kids. And I think we both were on board with that until like a year ago. And then here we are, 5 months pregnant, you know? So I think for me, like whenever I come on the podcast, I just try to think of what would be interesting to me. Like if I tune into a podcast, like what would be engaging? And I don't care about somebody. We can talk about pregnancy, but like, meh. But it's cool.
One of our 3 female listeners may be thinking about getting pregnant, you know?
Well, if you guys didn't kick me off the podcast, you might not have lost a lot of your female listeners.
Yeah, that's a good point. We have backed way off of our sexist jokes.
Because I'm gone. Because you don't have anybody to aim them at.
That is true. Yeah, we never did. We never. The Lord did not put the desire in our heart to be fruitful and multiply. He does command all people to do it, but we missed out on that.
We've been bucking that for a long time.
Most people, they get married and they immediately want to start having kids. I mean, that's pretty much what Blake did. That's what Mom and Dad did. Well, y'all had a couple of years, right, Dad?
Not very many. She was 22.
2 years before they had me. Not long at all.
That seems pretty average, though. I mean, how many women are we close to that are in our inner circle who, like, if you asked them when we were growing up what they wanted to do when they got older, it was like, be a mama. Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of them have good careers and jobs and stuff, but, like, that was what they were looking forward to in adulthood, was being a mom. And I was always like, no, I don't have that.
Yeah.
Like, still don't have that. Like, I have no freaking clue what we're about to do. I'm excited, but, like, I don't know what this is going to be like.
I think it's some sort of natural instinct in the human that makes them want to have children. But we don't have it. I mean, it makes sense that natural instinct is there, or else the whole species of human being would go extinct.
Yeah. I've always wondered that, though, like, why we don't have, like, I remember a couple of years ago, well, really on and off, because we've been married 13 years together since 2006, 2007.
Yeah.
On and off, excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you. And, lost my train of thought. I was anticipating this.
Well, okay. I think.
Oh.
Go ahead.
I was thinking, nope, lost it again.
You funny boo.
It's so bad.
People are apparently people in America are having less kids now. But just thinking along these lines, why do people want to have kids? I think it is some way a part of a natural instinct, but also, you know, for most of human history, there was a purpose in having kids.
Yeah.
You needed a hand. Like, you needed some folks on the farm that was going to help, you know, till the garden up and pick up rocks and go out and hunt and, you know, do chores and stuff like that. We don't need that anymore.
Yeah. Well, let's get into that. Like, what were your main thoughts? Like, aside from that, like when people would ask you, because a lot of people have asked us over the years, a lot of people, are you guys going to have kids? Are y'all going to have kids? Y'all should have a kid. You'd be great parents. Are y'all going to have kids? Like, what would go through your mind when people ask you that?
No, I love my life. Why do I need something else in my life? Like, I could keep living my life with you for, I don't know the amount of time that I would ultimately get bored with it. Like, seemingly infinitely, I could just keep living the life that we have, doing fun stuff, traveling, working, creating. I mean, our marriage is great. Why do I need something to come in and interrupt that? Like, are you crazy? Like, yeah. And another thing that I would do is I would look at my life, our life, and how good it is in terms of what we do whatever we want. We have all the money we need, like, because we're not having to buy all this stuff, and we don't need a big house with extra bedrooms, and we can live very simply. We can drive old vehicles, like. So I also would look at my life and then look at the lives of the people who do have kids, who are asking me or telling me I ought to have kids, and I'm just being blatantly honest with you.
You should be
I
blatantly
would look
honest.
at their lives and say, I don't want my life to look like yours. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
Like,
yeah.
I guess that's subjective. Whose life is better? Because it's all about what you want. I'm sure they think their life is much more better than mine because they have all this purpose and, love for these children and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that's not appealing to me. None of that looks good to me. So that's what I've always thought. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was very similar to you in that, like, so I felt so content with our life. And with our marriage, and like, we just have so much fun. And I also had that thought of like adding something to us and this would probably just detract or complicate was usually what I was thinking. But I think for me, the biggest thing that held me back from, I think I wouldn't even consider having kids because I was so fearful. And I think the Lord has helped me with this fear because I don't struggle with it right now. I give all that to Him, the credit to Him for that. But when I would think about having kids, I would think about my flaws with like the things I struggle with like anxiety and spells of depression and like obsessive thinking. And I would be like, there's no way I could be a good mom. There's no way. Like, there's no way I could shield my child from like having to be impacted by those things that I struggle with.
Which is really wild that you think that was one of the main things that you thought about, because if you could hone in on one specific gift that you have, it is the ability to care really well for people and things.
Yeah.
Like if you could hone in on one
Thank
thing,
you.
like even in spite of all of the things that you struggle with, like, you've always still cared for other people and things really well. Once you moved and went through recovery and went through that and came out on the other end of that, like you're once you were out of that, you've always just been able to care for people really well, even in spite of the other things that you struggle with. So it's interesting that was your one thing that you kind of honed in on.
Yeah. And it wasn't like I want to have kids, but I struggle with like obsessive thinking and rumination and all this. And so it was just that is a part of me that I think I'll always battle. And so having kids is not an option. Like it just wasn't something that I entertained. Does that make sense? It wasn't like a loss. It wasn't like there was no conversation in my head. It was just like, no, I can't do that.
So did you feel like kind of in a way you had to be as perfect as you could imagine being before that was something
That's
you could
exactly.
do? Yeah.
I started opening up to Jennifer and Stacy and Kelsey and these women in my life who I love the way that they mother. And I was just, they would ask me and I would say, no, like I'm too messed up to have kids. Like I do this and, behind closed doors, these are the things I think about. And, you know what, like, how could I would mess up a kid. And they were so generous in sharing like their personality flaws and how they have impacted their own kids, and like how that's just normal. Like, and so it kind of became a revelation to me last year of like, the reason I wasn't willing to consider having kids is because I didn't think I could do it perfectly. And then that still didn't make me want to. But I think that revelation was the beginning of the Lord like poking me. Like, I think that opened the door. Mm-hmm. And then the thought just kept coming. And I was like, no, like, I don't want this. Like, there's no part of me that wants this. And it just kept coming up. Like, kind of annoying in a way, you know?
I think another thing to point out that's different between, unique about our life, and a lot of our listeners who have served in the military or are currently serving in the military, I think, will understand this. Although a lot of people do have children in the military while on active duty for different reasons, but I think maybe what I was talking about earlier sounds very selfish to people. And yes, I would agree with you. It is selfish to think, why would I want the life that you have? Like, we're enjoying our lives. We get to do what we want. But what you have to figure is that since day one that we were together and all the way through our marriage up until 2019, so our relationship for over a decade, we did not get the luxury to do the things that we wanted to do and be together and be home. And even now, the amount I travel, it's still different than 90% of other people who have a traditional career path, a more traditional lifestyle, a more traditional business. It's like, man, for over a decade, I was barely at home. When I was at home, I was not thinking, didn't have the capacity or the space to even think about being a husband, didn't, never went on trips, or any leave we took, any time we took off was always just coming back home to see the family. Mm-hmm. So like that, and so when we got out of the military, it was like, oh, this is what we've worked so hard to achieve, is to be able to live this type of lifestyle, to have this type of freedom. You know what I mean? And maybe that's why I was, a big reason why I clinged so tightly to that.
Mm-hmm. I think you also had some fear around grief. And you feel free to be like, no, that's not true. But I specifically remember...
Oh, no, that's for sure, yeah.
Okay, I specifically remember one time walking... we went on a walk around the campground, and on the way back, it was last year, probably last fall, I kept having that same thought, and I asked you again, because I didn't like the thought of you guys should have kids, like you should consider kids. So I kept serving it up to you, hoping that you would soften or like help me make sense of where that was coming from. And I remember like telling you, are you sure we shouldn't have kids, or something like, are you sure just bringing it up. And you were like, no, what if he or she dies? And like, that was your immediate answer, was like, what if something happens?
Yeah, that's another thing for sure. Like, why am I going to set myself up for some, big thing in life that's going to cause me grief for the rest of my life potentially?
Yeah. I'm like, scared of that too.
Why not just avoid that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, because we have people close to us, multiple people who have lost kids at different ages, and
Big Nan lost Randy. Dad's brother passed away when, how old was Randy, Dad? He was 17. And how old were you? 13. So Dad lost his brother at 13 years old. I'm sure that you're getting the full effect of that.
Mm-hmm. And Jacob.
And our cousin Jake, and his brother Kyle is here, and obviously his mother, and
Tyler, my best buddy growing up. I watched his mom go through that, and
these are all young people. It's like, man, and then when you see how losing a child or a brother or something like that, how it impacts these families, which I don't guess it has to. Big Nan has done remarkably well.
She's just resilient. She's just resilient in general.
Considering that she lost her oldest son.
Yeah, she has.
Remarkably well. She's moved on through life, always serving others and helping raise me and Blake when we were coming up, always there for us. So I guess it doesn't have to destroy families, but in a lot of people it does destroy them.
Yeah.
I would be interesting to ask Big Nan or
Phyllis has done well too. Phyllis has just kept
well.
pouring into kids on the bus and kids in her life, and she just
it'd be interesting to ask if you ever
no way.
I don't guess you would ever get over it or put it behind you. So what?
You probably just carry that grief with you all the time.
Good night. You can avoid that completely if you just don't have kids.
Yeah, but that goes against the encouragement that you give a lot of people. And usually you're doing it in a context of like a physical challenge or starting a business but you tell people like, if you're not doing things that scare you, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I feel like that falls under that category. The stakes just feel so much higher than running a ultra marathon or starting a business. It's like, oh, no.
Yeah, for sure.
This is like, so I do think it's interesting that you and I both, like, on the surface, it seemed like it was true that we loved our life. We didn't want to complicate it. We were super content and happy. I'm like, why would we change anything? But the next level for both of us was my fear about my own character flaws, and then your fear about grief, which is something you struggle with, is just entering into grief, which you've done beautifully at the last year or so. But yeah, I think the layers of, we're not supposed to have kids, we're not fit for this, they're deep.
My perspective on this whole thing now, my mindset on it is that the child that we're going to have, Lord willing, is a gift that God's giving us. And I've just had to shift my perspective to be like, we are just stewarding this child as, a gift from God. It's his son.
Right.
We're just going to be stewards of him, and so that's my mindset on it right now. But, trying not to maybe get in my head that I'm in control of, keeping, yes, I'm responsible for keeping the child safe, but because I'm a steward of him. Not because I think I'm in control of everything. You know what I mean?
Man, and it's so crazy, and we'll get into that, but it's so crazy how early that starts, that surrender of control over his well-being to the Lord, because it's like things just start happening so early that you're like, holy crap, I have no control over this.
Yeah.
It's the least amount of control I've ever felt in my entire life, and he's not even here yet. And I'm like, well, this is humbling and really challenging, but in a really fulfilling way so far. But after that conversation, that we were just talking about, where you mentioned the grief, that was probably late last year. I'm curious, because we haven't talked about this on our own. I'm curious, do you what's your perspective? How do you remember it? Because I remember just bringing it up probably 4 to 5 times, starting in probably November through January, February. I remember bringing it up in Maine when we were hiking. I remember bringing it up in Arizona when we were hiking in Sedona. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do, yeah.
And I just remember starting to get more and more pushy with you. And I remember always telling you I'm scared too. I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but I'm just telling you that I just feel like we're being led into this. And you were just like, no. And then I think you started to soften. I don't like, how do you perceive those conversations in that time period of like talking about it before we made a decision?
Yeah, I don't know how exactly that transition worked, but I don't think that I would have ever been the one to push to have kids. I don't think that I can't see a scenario where my mind would have ever changed and I would have been the one trying to convince you that we should make an attempt at, having a child. I mean, the only thing that comes to mind is I just thought, well, if this is something that the Lord has put on your heart and, I'm your husband, like I do have a responsibility to pay attention to that and to honor that. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, I think I just can't imagine a scenario where you're married to a woman and she says, I want to have a kid, and you're like, nah.
I think that happens a lot.
That could cause a lot of resentment later on in your marriage once you get older and the chance or the opportunity has passed and it's no longer even a possibility. You know what I mean? That could cause a lot of resentment. So I would think that in all cases, if one of the people, husband or wife, wants children, I would make a case that the other spouse, even if they haven't got to that point that they want that, they ought to submit in that because of the nature of that union. You know what I mean?
Did you feel any comfort in the fact that, like, just kind of out of nowhere, I started to change my tune, but I had always been no kids? Did that make you kind of like, whoa, what in the world? Or did that not bring you any? Cause
No, I definitely had to pay attention to that. Yeah, because I mean, I know that you are in Christ, and I have to pay attention to what the Lord sees us as one unified, togetherness to body essentially. So I have to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
And can't just blow that off.
Yeah.
Because the Lord is going to use you in different ways than He's going to use me in our family unit. Him as the head and us, together. Obviously, him as the head of us, me as the head of our family, but us also joined together permanently, becoming like this special team moving through the time and space.
I love that, and I love how, when I reflect back on that season, it's it's really cool because you are the leader of our family, and I'm really headstrong and like to argue, and I'm not the most submissive on the outside, but I feel like I do pretty good at letting you lead our family. But it was cool in the whole kid conversation that for some reason the Lord chose to push me into it first. And that you, even though you were, I remember even up until, we can talk about it, but you were not bought in. You were like, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Even up until that first pregnancy, you were just like, okay, but it doesn't mean I led our family, but you allowed that teamwork to happen, even though you weren't in total agreement, you trusted me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and just to be brutally honest, I mean, I'm still not. Just to be totally honest, I mean, I don't want to sound unthankful or ungrateful or that. But look, Donna at the gym this morning was talking to me about all this stuff. Are you thinking about this? Are you thinking about that? And this and that? And I'm like, no, I'm not. She's like, and then she's giving me tips well, You ought to. And she's right, she is right. That may play also into the way that my mind ticks. I'll cross that bridge when we get there. We'll think about it. We'll think about what we're supposed to do with this son. Like, oh, well, now we got to figure out a place for him to sleep. And now we got to figure out, oh, this and that. And I will think about that when he gets here. You know what I mean?
Oh, you and I both are in that, like, I don't know if there's some kind of weird denial happening or if we're both just, like you said, procrastinating. But, like, people have been asking me, like, do you have a registry? What do you need? I'm like, I don't know.
Do you think that we make too big of a deal about having kids here in America? Because we can, because our life is so, like just, and this isn't everybody, but a lot, middle class America, like, our life is so ridiculously cushy, and we're like so we're just consumers. We just want to buy.
Yeah.
Do you think we make too big of a deal out of it?
I've had thoughts about yes, I do think so, and pregnancy, but I feel like it's kind of selfish of us to say that, because I think people just have different experiences. Like, I think I have friends who have dreamed of the moment they get to hold their first baby, and like they've dreamed about their nursery, and they've dreamed and they've had like 5 baby names picked out since they were 13, and like, so like, you can't dog on them for, that's just something that was built into them for some reason. And like, I got none of that. Like, I have done, my office is going to become the nursery. I have done nothing. I have bought nothing.
To me, it's like put a little thing for him to sleep in there, and that's it.
We're over halfway. I'm lucky I'm surrounded by a bunch of women who know that about me, though, because they're all like, hey, I'll help you. And like, they're pushy about it because they know I'm not going to do. And then your mom's been great, too. But no, I think for me, pregnancy has been way underrated for what people told me it was going to be. Like, to be totally honest, I just feel like some women, not all, blow pregnancy out of proportion. I'm
so glad you haven't done that, man. And like, especially when it comes,
I'm gonna get in so much trouble for that.
When it comes to using pregnancy as an excuse to do nothing or act just ridiculous.
Well, the first trimester, I remember having some like moods that I was like, this is not me. Like, I'm irrationally mad at this. And like, but I was aware of it. And I remember telling you a couple times, like, hey, I think this is hormones. And like, I'm just warning you, this is not, but like, so I think that's real. I think it's cool that I'm old, like, and I have learned to be self-aware. And for the most part, I can be like, oh, that's not me. And then I get to tell you, I had to tell my friends a couple of times when I exploded on them. I was like, I'm sorry. I don't think that's who I am. But yeah, I could see how people could take like the nausea the first trimester or being tired. My work in the thick of my first trimester and the worst period was so busy that I literally didn't have a chance to like lay on the couch one time. And I probably would have, and then I probably would have laid there and been like, oh, I am really nauseous. Oh, I am really tired. And then stewed on it and made it worse. But I just didn't have that. I feel blessed I didn't have that option. I just had to keep going. And so it wasn't a big deal.
I do. I mean, I like that we haven't made this, at least up to this point, this huge ordeal. Like, it's not the centerpiece of our lives.
Yeah.
It's not what consumes our conversations or our activities or our thoughts or what we're spending our money on. Like, it, at least to this point anyways, I don't know, that might change, but yeah, I think I would make a case that American families make this too much of a big deal. And it actually probably ends up becoming unhealthy to the raising of the child. Not that I know anything about raising children, but one of the things that I covet most about how some of our friends have raised their children is they have refused to make the child the centerpiece of their life. Not
refused to make them the centerpiece?
Yes.
They
have kept them.
That.
They've kept them in their proper place.
Yes.
Like, you're not going to talk when I'm talking. You're going to act. You're going to conduct yourself with a little respect when we're in places that you need to do that. If I want to go on a trip, you're going to have to stay with grandma.
Or get on a plane. And
Like, you are not the centerpiece of the family.
Gosh, and we're so blessed to have like the wards. This morning, I did a quick walk with Kelsey and Kelly, and Everly's like, oh gosh, 2023. She's like 2.5. So she's talking and she wanted attention, and we were talking, and she was just being a kid, like hanging out of her wagon and like laughing. And Kelsey stopped and like got down at her level and was like, hey, me and Aunt Brooke and Aunt Kelly are talking right now. You have your book, you have your snacks. I need you to sit quietly while we talk. You can listen, but you can't interrupt. And like, I think I've witnessed it. I know there's so many people that would be like, oh my gosh, she's 2. Like, she's 2 years old. But like, Everly is a delight to be around, and she actually picks up on that stuff. And like, she can integrate into any environment and not detract from it. Now, she also gets to be a wild, feral kid most of the time. But like, the Wards and Kelsey and Benji are teaching their kids, you can be wild and crazy, but there are times when you don't need to be.
Yeah, and also, how many women go through, women and I'm sure men too, mothers and fathers, go through a crisis when their children get old enough and they leave home. That may happen to me. I'm not saying that all of a sudden, if we have a son, that I'm not going to get completely consumed by it. I hope I don't.
Yeah.
But yeah, how many dads and moms have this crisis when their kids have to leave? Because why? Because they've made the kid the centerpiece of their life.
It's going to be so hard.
They don't have any real individual passions or dreams or desires outside of that one thing. Or friends or whatever outside of that one thing. It's like, man, you are setting yourself up for some failure. And okay, that applies to everything in life. That's kind of the same thing that military members go through when they put their entire identity in their job as a soldier. Mm-hmm. And then they come out and they have a daggone crisis because all of a sudden, oh my gosh, that's gone. You know what I mean? I don't want to fall into that trap, man.
I don't either, but I'm already bracing. And I don't think you can wrap your mind around it, but I feel like I can a little bit, of how hard that's going to be to like put up boundaries with your own kid. Because like Nelson, our puppy, we're crate training him, and it's better for Chadd and I both if he goes in the crate at night. Chadd went out of town a couple days ago. I brought the puppy into bed. He's been in bed for 4 nights. He doesn't he's fine. But I did not want to put him back in the crate.
I know you didn't.
And if I'm like that with a freaking dog, can you imagine how hard it's going to be for me to be like, all right, this kid of ours, he needs to sleep in his crib so I can get a good night's sleep. Like, the intensity of love of this puppy we've had for 5 weeks versus, so like, I can say what I want and like the type of parent I want. And I have these awesome people in my life who I'm like, that's the style I want to be. Mm-hmm. But I think we're going to have to be really intentional and like remind each other of how we want to do it. Cause I think not wanting kids for so long, you and I have no concept of what it's going to feel like. And I think we're going to be shocked.
I was just thinking the same thing.
The amount of love and attachment we're going to feel.
I was thinking, how many parents are listening to this, rolling their eyes right now?
Probably Gris. Gris is shaking his head.
You don't know what the crap you're talking about, guy, and this and that. But I would be interesting to hear from the listeners in the comments, like, do you have regrets about not maintaining your passions and the things that you've always enjoyed doing and continuing to grow on a personal level?
Especially women.
Yeah, do you have regrets about that? Would you have done it differently? Or are you thankful that you put everything into raising this child and made them, I keep using the analogy, the centerpiece of kind of your passions and your
it's a good analogy.
Focus. You know what I mean? Do you regret that, or are you thankful that you did that? Was it worth it? Could you, is there even a reality that you can imagine doing anything other than that, putting them at the head of everything in your life and making that, the thing that's driving you in life? Yeah, because we don't know. So for all you guys rolling your eyes, you can, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can, share with us in short your experience in terms of that in the comments.
And I'll read the comments on this one for sure. And my friends that are successful at what we're talking about like maintaining a identity outside of their children, specifically women, because I think it's harder for them. Like I've talked to them and watched them, and it's extra work because at some point your kid is going to take 99% of your attention because that's just the way it is. But then you have very little time for yourself. And like what you choose to do with that little block of time is going to be what we're talking about. Like, are you going to keep exercising? Are you going to stay with a friend group? Are you going to go to the concert with your friends? Are you going to, and you're probably tired. Your kid got sick last week and you haven't slept in 5 days. And you're like, I just want to stay home, but
and we have so many examples of that. Like James and Jennifer Ward were an example of that yesterday. Like that, we had a dinner planned at our house yesterday. Their son wasn't feeling good, and so, so many people would have just said, "Oh no, so and so's not feeling good. We're gonna stay at home and take care of him." You know what I mean? But they're like, "No, well, if you're not feeling good, you can stay at home." While we're going to go over here and, have dinner with friends. They just leave them at home for,
And they're plenty old enough.
Yeah,
like it's
3,
a safe,
4, 5 hours, but
Yeah.
they're definitely not like teenage age. I mean, they're young kids.
They're teenagers. And their mom lives like 5 houses down.
Yeah,
but still,
I mean, it's not, they're not putting them in an unsafe position. It's just like, hey, we have a life. If you don't feel good, we have a safe space at home, and you're going to stay there. Your grandma's 5 minutes down the road. If you need anything, call her.
Yeah, I love that.
Like that's an example. So I'm not talking about this. That's the examples I'm talking about, not like an extreme example.
No, I love it. That would be my goal too. But again, like Grizz was just smiling at me when we finished talking about that. I think there's a lot of things we're gonna realize why people do that, and we're gonna be like,
this podcast may not age well. Who knows?
We're gonna be like, oh, well, especially me. Well, no, I don't know. You're pretty dang soft too. You're definitely pretty soft. Okay, we need to get back to the story. So, I work on you for a few months, and then I would have to look. I guess it's pretty much irrelevant.
Yeah, the dates don't really matter.
But I guess early last year, like spring, I convinced you to just remove the goalie. And you were convinced, you're not going to like me sharing this, but you were convinced if we did it unprotected one time, I was going to be pregnant. You were like, that tracking, ovulation cycles, none of that matters. You're like, the moment this happens, you're going to be pregnant. And I was like, that's not how this works. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but you still got pregnant pretty quick.
It took 3 or 4 months.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it was not that fast. But the fact that we weren't tracking things and using like specific days and all that, it was pretty fast. But yeah, I did get pregnant the first time. And I think when I found out we were like 6 weeks along, maybe. We were early.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew for, do you remember, like a week maybe?
Yeah.
Was it?
Yeah. Till what?
How long did we know I was pregnant? Because we knew a couple days before we told the family.
Yeah, it was a week or two. Yeah, you brought me that little camouflage pair of Crocs, you know.
Yep.
And then I actually got really excited about it. I thought, oh well, okay, this is cool, you know.
You got giddy, which was really confusing for me.
Yeah.
I remember going to my friends and being like, I don't know what's going on, because I felt like when I saw the pregnancy test, I felt like I was gonna faint. Like I felt kind of like nauseous and like cold. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh God. Like for some reason I had in my head that all the drugs I had done and that all the stuff your body had been through, I was like, there's no way. Like you're 37, I'm about to be 35. There's no way I just didn't think we could get pregnant. I don't know why. Maybe that's a normal thing that people think. So I was just shocked. And then that initial like revelation that we were pregnant, you had zero fear initially, or like, yeah, you just seemed excited.
Yeah, I think I was excited. I think I was excited, and then after a few weeks, we lost that baby.
Right.
And then that was harder for me than I anticipated it was going to be. Hmm. And so I think that has affected me now.
I agree.
With the excitement that I feel with the baby that we have now in your belly. Because that was hard. That was like I realized, whoa, we got way too excited way too quick. Hmm. This is a really common thing. That
miscarriage.
Yes, this is a really common thing that people lose babies during pregnancy. So I think with this one, I've been like, well, let's see how it goes. Like, let's just take it. Just go day by day. You know what I mean? Let's just see how it goes. And yeah, that was pretty tough. I was definitely really sad about that. And you literally left. And went noodling all weekend and left me home by myself while you were out with your girlfriends noodling for catfish. And I just had to sit at home and be sad all weekend.
Did I not
I'm not hitting you on that.
Did I not ask you if you wanted me to stay home?
Yeah.
Twice.
Yeah, that's a funny story.
It is a funny story.
In the midst of sadness, yeah, it's a funny part of it.
There's definitely, yeah. That was the morning of. I was leaving that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough. I mean, I think you were more sad than I was, because I think I was still in, like, the first night I found out, I didn't sleep at all. Like, that day, I was just, like, I was so shocked that it happened. I think I was still in that processing phase, and I was still like, uh-oh, did we make a mistake? Like, what did we do? Was this, like, did we do this too fast? We're not ready. Like, am I ready? Am I crazy? What, you know? And so I think I was still there when the miscarriage started, that like I didn't even have time to get excited yet. And so the miscarriage wasn't that hard for me. I don't know. Like, I was disappointed, but I think it got hard 2 or 3 months later when I kind of was like, oh, I do want to be pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, I do want this.
That's what it seemed like it did to you. It seemed like to you it actually made you realize how much you actually did want to have a child.
It did.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it did.
It had totally different effects on us.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
I think I feel like I can say this because I'm your wife and I've been with you for so long. I think what happened to you is that built-in protection mechanism you have for grief. And, like, I still notice that in you now with this baby. And it was like, and I have it too. That's why I think it's easy for me to see is that exactly what you said. Like, let's not get too excited. Like, let's just wait until he's here and he's healthy and he's okay, and then we can celebrate and get crazy. But I understand that, like, you were really all out excited about it the first time, like zero fear, zero holding back, and then, lost it. And so I was like, well, yeah, I just understand. I don't know. Maybe that's not what you're doing, but it feels like you are.
No, I definitely think it does. Yeah, Donna was pointing that out this morning. She's so smart.
She's very, very
She's a
intuitive.
very wise woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, she is. And you would, and yeah, it's funny how many wise people are out there that don't have degrees and platforms and aren't noticed, and you just have small conversations with them, and you're like, man, this person is very wise and like has good advice. She's one of those people.
She is.
But yeah, she was pointing that out too when she was like asking me all these questions about, are you excited and all this. I was like, no. And she was like, oh, well, probably has to do with this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, that definitely plays into it for sure.
Yeah. Well, I've been praying for that not to dampen my experience with this pregnancy.
Yeah.
And I think it's working. And not every day. But so fast forward, miscarriage, I think 2 months go by, and then I was like, you know what? I actually want to try to get pregnant. Like, I want to like track my cycle and like the days you're supposed to. Like, I want to actually commit. And I think you said yes immediately, didn't you?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And then so we got really, really lucky, and I think 2 months later we were pregnant again. But that the night before, because the pregnancy tests are such a dang screw, like mind screw. They're awful. Because when you're excited about being pregnant and you're like, the thing he says, take 6 days before the first day of your missed period, you're like, I could probably take it like 5 days before. And maybe if I am pregnant, it'll show. And like, it's just, if there's women listening, they'll be like, oh yeah, it's awful.
Yeah, I think the old way would be so much better, that you just had to wait and see if you were pregnant. Like, you had to give it some time, and I could see how those pregnancy tests could be consuming and just screw with your mind. Yeah,
you have to just, like, I had to set boundaries around, like, I cannot take one before this day, period, no matter what. But I started feeling things in my body, and I was like, I'm pregnant again. And like, I remember telling you I think I was. Then I took a test when I was supposed to, and it said negative. Mm-hmm. And I remember coming to you and being like, we're not pregnant. And you were like, you said, we're never going to get pregnant. Do you remember that?
Oh, no.
You don't remember that?
Mm-mm.
You were bummed. And so that night, our elderly dog, who was 13 and not doing well, she hasn't been doing well for like 2 years. She started having some like odd breathing things. And I just decided, see if I can get through this without crying. I just decided that like it was time. And I called the vet, and we scheduled it for the next day. And I woke up that morning, and I was like, I felt weird. Like, I just felt off. And I think we were going to put her down at 10. And I gave in to what I was talking about, the lure of the pregnancy test, and took one, and it was like really positive. And I came in the kitchen and told you, I was like, oh, we're pregnant again. But like, you and I were both so sad that it wasn't like, you were like, really? And I think you gave me a hug. But
that was an odd occurrence.
It was so weird.
That was an odd occurrence.
Because Jada was our first like being that we cared for together, you know?
Yeah.
And so the day that she was dying, we found out that we were pregnant again.
People don't understand the love that we had for that dog because they haven't walked our path. Like, they don't understand how a dog could mean that much to us because they haven't walked our path. Like,
yeah,
you don't understand. You and nor do I expect you to. I can't understand what you've been through.
Yeah.
Like, but we can't describe to you of how special this dog was to us for so many reasons, and just because of the period of our lives that dog went through with us. Like, yeah, I don't expect you to understand it, but you know, so many comments are not so many. Some comments are like, how, and people listen to this, how could you be so, like, how is this dog dying such a meaningful thing? And you saying this is an odd occurrence that you found out you were having a baby on the day that this dog died and this and that. Well, look, I will tell you that dog, Jada, dying was the hardest day of my life in terms of grief. The hardest day of my life. And so that's why it was such an odd occurrence. That's why it was such an impactful thing. Like, I think a day in our life that we will literally never forget. And there aren't many of those days. You don't have many of those days, at least I don't, that you will, I believe, will remember vividly.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And if you have never gotten to love a dog like that, I feel sorry for you.
I do too. There are so many people listening to this, though, that get that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's so many people that have put a dog down that they've had for 10 plus years, and it's just like, whoa. But, I mean, I totally forgot that I was pregnant that day. Like, that day was just, oh, it was as beautiful as it could be, but it was awful. But I remember the following days being really grateful that, like, there was this really cool light and hope in amongst the sadness. Like, it was
Dude, that was some biblical stuff. That day was some biblical stuff.
I don't feel like it was that significant.
The Lord giveth, and the Lord taketh away, man.
Classic domestic people stuff.
I'm talking about that was some biblical times we lived through right there.
Oh, yeah, it was cool. It was cool to experience, like, that grief that I had dreaded for, 10 years. And then simultaneously, like, being grateful and excited that I was pregnant again, and scared, truly scared. But yeah, that was wild. And then we had a deep sea fishing trip scheduled. We were taking Grizz to Florida. That was such a fun trip. And we're on the way down there. And I think I was 9 or 10 weeks. It had been like a month or two. Like, some time had passed, and we were past that same window that we lost the first one. And we stopped at a gas station bathroom, and I saw blood, and I was like, oh God. Like, that feeling was so terrible. And I remember, do you remember, like, in the van, I just cried. I was like, I don't want to go through that again. And I just knew it was happening. I was like, yep, this is it. Come to find out, like, spotting early is not abnormal, and everything was fine. Mm-hmm. But, like, that was just that drove me further into what you and I have referenced several times about, like, we're not going to get super excited about this because we just don't know what's going to happen. And when you choose to hope for something without reservation, there's just so much more room to be heartbroken, And so I just decided, I was like, I'm just going to live my life, enjoy my life, and take care of my body and, like, follow the rules. But I'm not going to, like, put all my eggs in this basket and start getting excited about this.
Yeah. It's all mental training. It's all mental training,
rough.
and it's it's all a stark reminder of the reality that you're not in control of anything in this life, which is a good thing to keep into perspective. And I think is something that many of us lose the proper perspective of. We want to cling so tightly to the things that we want, the things that we desire, and we want to imagine that we have so much control over them. And really what you're doing is setting yourself up for failure. You are setting yourself up for failure. And this really applies across the board. I mean,
does.
We're talking, how does it apply across the board? Well, we're talking about spending, $10,000+ to build out a new studio for the podcast. I don't know if we're going to get a return on that investment. We may go broke. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's like, you're not really in control other than doing what you're talking about doing. Saying, hey, we're going to take care of ourselves. We're going to show up well.
Yeah.
Those are the only things that you can really do. And everything else is truly out of your control.
Yep.
And that's the world. That's this life experience.
Yep.
Is really what it is, man.
And in that, like, for me, the turning over control also meant not giving in to fear. Because especially even before the spotting started, I wanted to go on Google and be like, how do you prevent a miscarriage? What causes miscarriage? What do I do to, and those first couple weeks, I would keep working out, but I would barely do anything because I was just so scared. Like, what if my exercise was what, killed the first one? And what if I did this? And maybe I took my creatine and I wasn't supposed to, or, and I just had to stop. There's
no end to that.
No,
ever.
No, especially with pregnancy and kids, because everybody has an opinion. You have what your doctor tells you, and that's kind of what I've been following, but everybody has an opinion.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody.
It's funny, now that we have the internet, to realize nobody really even knows anything.
They don't know. Well,
because you can find something that says one thing, and then you can find a legitimate source that says the exact opposite of what this other legitimate source says. And so what does that tell you? It tells you that nobody really knows anything.
No, they don't. Well, the exercise thing was a hard one, and that's a great example of 10 years ago, women were supposed to stop lifting weights, stop running, and now there's a ton of big studies where they're studying 300 to 500 pregnant women and fetal outcomes and how healthy is the baby, how healthy is and they're finding that people who lift heavy weights and continue doing what they're doing are having healthier pregnancies and healthier babies. But for decades, that was no. So the conclusion I've come to so far in this is I'm just going to do what I feel is right. And sometimes that goes against this camp, but it's in this camp. And then sometimes I'll switch a couple months later and be back to that camp. And I don't care. I just know in my heart, am I being prideful? Am I doing this for me? Am I risking something that I shouldn't be risking?
Well, and then you had the blood test that came back.
Yeah. Well,
that was something was out of whack.
Yeah, that was,
Or we thought anyways.
Yeah, but that was fine.
Yeah, but that was just another exercise in this mental training.
Even when we went fishing, I knew the spotting was happening. I wasn't in a position to run to a doctor and be like, can you check and make sure everything's okay? And I was just I wasn't far enough along for that. And I was there's part of me that was you shouldn't go on a boat with your family and friends and go offshore and catch 50 to 60 pound fish. You should go, you need to be really careful, and you need to do. And I was you know what? If I'm meant to have this kid, I will. And granted, if there was cramping, or if there were like other things going on, I would have absolutely gone to the doctor. But
use your brain.
Yeah, but like it was very minimal, and I had been told that like spotting could be normal, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna choose to not like to just live, and that was the best decision for me.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, us as Christians, what the exercise is putting your trust in the Lord. Like that, and that can sound so cliche, man.
It does sound cliche.
Yeah, it can. People can get so carried away with that. I mean, you can get totally carried away with that. But what is the truth? The truth is that we have been told that in this world we will indeed experience tribulation. Tribulation means hard stuff. Okay, we have been told that things are not as they ought to be. Nothing is perfect, and pretty much everything is screwed up. That's the world we're living in. What's the other part of the truth? That there is a God, the creator of all this, who is sovereign, and he loves us. How do we know he loves us? Because he's given us faith to be able to believe in his gospel, in what he did for us. How do we know he loves us? Because he came into this world, entered into this suffering, took upon himself great suffering that we can't even comprehend, our sins, died for us, and then gave us the ability to believe in the work that he accomplished on the cross for us. So we know he loves us, and he's made a promise to us. And this is the promise that this is the promise that I cling to. He's given us the promise that he will indeed work all things to the good of those who have been called. Okay? He doesn't make that promise to every human being on the earth. He makes that promise specifically to us, those of us whom have been called according to his purpose. So think about what a gift that promise is that we have. It is an unbelievable gift that our Creator has made that promise to us specifically. And so then we have to say, okay, well, this bad experience that we're having, we know that we have a promise that it will in some way, shape, or form be worked to the good of those who have been called according to his purpose. Mm-hmm. That's all you got, man, in my opinion. When I say put your trust in the Lord, that's what I'm saying. The trust is that he will work the things that are evil, that are bad, that are even meant for evil, or just simply a byproduct of the world that we live in. He is powerful enough, and he's so loving that he will work them to the good in some way, shape, or form. That's what I mean when I say put your trust in the Lord. It's not don't use your brain, because we should use our brain, our understanding, our intellect to make good decisions, to make choices, but realize at the end of the day, we are subject to, and we've been told we're subject to, the condition of the world that we live in, right?
And that the same blind faith that I have to believe in a creator that I can't see is the same blind faith I have to believe that there's truth in that statement, that all things will be worked to his good. Because we've been gifted because of the platform that we have. We've been able to share a lot of really hard parts of our life, and like we get to see the good that comes out of that. You know, like yes. We get feedback, and but I think,
dude, that's so
90% of the time when you suffer in this life, and you just have to choose to trust that he's going to use it for his good, but you're not going to see that, and you're not going to get the reward and that warm feeling of like, oh, I went through this really hard thing, but it turned out to bless somebody else, or it turned out to point this person to the Lord, or it saved this person, or it brought peace to this guy in Kansas somewhere. You know, like you don't get to know most of the time.
That's so important that you talked about that, because you use the word blind faith. And a lot of times we like to, when we talk about trusting the Lord and trusting that promise that he's given to us, we like to talk about it in the sense of you have to choose that. I would make the case that you can't choose to believe that. You can't choose to believe that. Okay, you cannot make a choice in the midst of difficulty, especially early on in your walk with Christ.
Oh, here we go.
To believe that he's going to work that thing. And let me tell you why I'm saying this.
Can I pee while you're Martin Luthering?
We'll just take a break.
Keep going.
No, we'll take a break.
Oh,
all right. Why we believe that isn't because we chose to believe it. It's because we've been to the daggone pit. We've been in the depths of despair and confusion. And we felt in our own unique way, and as in our own unique story, we felt suffering and for each other and in ourselves. And I now believe that the Lord will work all this crap to the good of those who are called according to his purpose. I now believe it because he's took me, I don't know if he's took me there, but this world has took me to the pit. We've come out of it, and we've seen that promise is true. Mm-hmm. We have evidence of it, right? So I'm not believing that promise blindly. I'm believing it because I've seen evidence of it in the course of our lives. So it's like for a brand new Christian to believe that, they can try all they want to choose to believe that, but God's going to show you evidence of it at some point in your life. You know, I do think that. And that's why we believe it. Our faith isn't based on just some, our faith isn't based on just some arbitrary imaginary thing. It's like, no, we've seen evidence of how the Lord has changed our hearts, how we've come through the pit of despair, and how that's been used in good ways. Not only to shape us, but to shape others. I mean, we get to see it twofold.
We're very blessed.
Most people see the difficult stuff being used to shape themselves and the people that are immediately around them. Mm-hmm. We get to see the effect it's being used to help people all over the dang earth, man.
Yeah, we're really, really blessed in that. But it's very easy for me to, like you said, it's not blind in those contexts, but like losing a pregnancy, losing a kid, there are certain contexts that like it is blind for me.
100%.
I can't imagine how that could be worked for good. And I don't have to try. Like I that's the blind part is like, well, Lord, I don't understand that. Yeah. And like, I think he can handle my apprehension about it. It's just like, I don't get it. And I'm okay with the fact that you're way more intelligent than I am because you created things I can't even understand. So I'm just going to choose to surrender to that, even though I don't agree with it and I don't understand.
Yeah. And I think that in a lot of cases, the longer we have to follow Christ during this life, the more our faith is increased, and the more we are able to lean on and believe the promises that he's made because of the experiences that he's given us.
Yeah.
So I just don't want new believers to like hear this conversation and hear us talking about we've reached a point now where we're trusting the Lord, obviously not completely because we're still human and we still find ourselves in situations where we're trying to lean on our own understanding. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to hear the new believer hear this and say, well, I just can't make that choice. And it's like, yeah, I believe it. Just give it time. And by give it time, I mean you might need to give it a long time before you start to really believe these things. You need another water?
No, I'm okay. Thank you.
So I just wanted to throw that in there. All right. What's next?
Right. I think, so we found out that was, August.
I am so bad at remembering dates.
I am too. That's also something that's very cultural, is keeping up with your weeks. And at first I was very excited about that. Now you couldn't. Now, like, anybody asks me.
You got so mad at me for a while because I wasn't looking at the app and like.
Well, okay. Can I explain that? Like, I was so in shock. Because that's a good topic, because we already touched on people make a big deal out of pregnancy, right? And you and I both agreed that, like, we think people milk it. We just do. I think there are people who get sick and feel really bad. I think that's very true. But I think some people just feel off, feel nauseous, you feel tired, your hips hurt, like, you name it. And they just use it as an excuse to do the things they normally don't want to do already.
Yeah.
But there is this thing that I can't really put words to. I'm going to try without sounding like a weenie. There is this thing about being pregnant that you feel, all the words I want to use make me feel like, bleh. It's not vulnerable. It's like, I do want more care from you. I don't know what that is. It could be selfish. I don't know, but, like, I do want you to be just brutally honest. Like, I do want you to treat me a little extra special. And my level of extra special is not, I would like to say, I don't think it's super high maintenance, but my body's going through all these changes, and, like, my whole world has changed overnight, and I don't want to feel alone in that. You know, like, the first couple of weeks I was like, what the, there was just so much going on in my head. And it does feel like, it did feel kind of isolating, of like, whoa, I'm going through this experience by myself. So,
I'm not good at that is one of my major weaknesses, is making people in general feel special. Or like caring for animals is way down on my weakness, man.
You're really good at it now. You used to be terrible.
Yeah, I'm still not on the level that you are on, but yeah, that's one of my big struggles. I struggle with that. Is it's like, yeah, I just I'm focused on doing things that I know I'm supposed to do. Look, my job is to wash the dishes, work, bring in money, make sure you have I'm thinking very basic levels here. Make sure we have a place to live, like all this stuff. And it's like, what else? I wonder if other men struggle with that. What else do you want me to do? You want me to come in and, like, greet you in some certain way? And, like,
I think this is a great conversation, because like, everybody I've talked to that's navigated pregnancy has navigated things like this, of, like, the wife has these kind of, like, hidden needs and expectations that she doesn't even really understand, because they're all new feelings. And then you guys are very, like, basic. Most men are very, like, black and white basic.
Well, also, nothing about my life has changed. I don't have a baby growing in my human growing in my belly. I can just forget about it.
And during those first couple weeks, when I, like, wanted you to like, know what week we were on, and now that kind of does feel silly, I'm going to be honest, but that was the only way I could think that you could be a part of it with me, because yes, I was nauseous, yes, I was tired, but, like, I looked the same, and my routine was the same, and, like, nothing changed. But, like, internally and in my head, I was like, holy crap, my whole life is changing, and, like, my body doesn't feel normal, like, just, yeah, I don't know. I think you and I are still moving through that, like, and I don't think you can be good at it ahead of time, because it's something we're learning as we go. But I know my needs from you are changing right now. And I'm not really sure what they are sometimes. And I have been asking you lately, like, I did ask you to cook dinner 2 nights a week. I told you a couple of days ago I wanted more, like, attention and, like, intimate, not like sex, but like intentional, let's sit together on the couch with no TV and, like, be close to each other. And I feel like I'm doing okay at telling you what I need, but it's just, man, you just feel weird. Like things just feel different. And I don't.
Yeah, I just want to live in my imaginary primal world where
just be real
like
honest, please.
The man, like you ought to appreciate the man's presence because he's keeping, the world at bay that will, potentially kill you, and like he's bringing in the food, and he's out hunting all day, to bring in the food,
Yeah.
The roles of man and woman have gotten so jumbled up.
Oh boy.
Okay. Now, I'm just saying, I mean, you can't, this is such a complex issue.
What issue are we addressing?
The roles of man and woman getting so jumbled up. It's such a complex issue. You can't imagine that you're going to unpack it on this podcast because it would take so much consideration and so much study, and so, but, because you think for all of human history, the woman appreciated the roles of man so much more because they were literally
dependent.
Well, but I think both parties are serving their role. So both parties are dependent on one another, right? But the roles that the man played, the woman couldn't do the things that he did because physically, maybe because time, whatever. Yeah. But now we live in a world where the woman really don't need the man. I mean, I get it. You could push back against that, but a woman realistically can live, work, raise children, eat, have shelter, have all the things that she needs to have, and she can do that without a man.
Yeah.
Because we've created the environment that allows that to happen.
I like that environment.
Yeah. Well, it has caused the roles of man and woman to get jumbled up, right? Because now I can't satisfy you by bringing home a deer. Like I have to give to you by way of like washing dishes or like
that stupid womanly crap.
Something like that. I'm just saying it has gotten very complex and confusing.
I feel like this frustration is coming out of me asking you to cook dinner 2 nights a week.
Well, but the fact of the matter
it is coming out of that.
The fact of the matter is, a man is not, that there is not the opportunity for a man to fulfill the specific roles that a man is supposed to fulfill and can only fulfill in the world that we live in today. So, yeah, we do have to get creative, and it gets kind of jumbled up. And, I mean, I suck at cooking. I suck.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
But like, what else am I going to do to serve you? You know what I mean?
You made an amazing steak last night. Why are you saying you suck at cooking?
Well,
your chicken curry is top notch.
Well, I should say I can make a decent meal if I have a recipe to follow. I should say it more along the lines of I hate cooking. There's nothing, I get zero enjoyment out of cooking. I get anti-enjoyment out of cooking.
Negative enjoyment.
But all this being said, like, we as men still have got to find, now we've got to find new ways to make our woman feel important. And I think the woman also has to still find ways to make the man feel important and needed. You know what I mean?
It's gotten more complicated for us too, because like, just our circumstance in a nutshell is I have a good job. You make more money than me, but I make good money. And like, it could be like I have a career job and a business, and I do things for 3 of 7, and I can do pretty much everything you can do. Physically, you're stronger than me, but like I have no limitations on Like,
well, that's the unique thing about the man is the physical way that a man can serve within the family, and that's been taken out of the equation.
Right.
We don't need that anymore. I mean, what is a man using his physical strength for now? To go and lift iron plates in a gym. There's no purpose to that. But that's what we're using our unique gift as a man to do. There's no purpose in that. That's not accomplishing anything in terms of service to the survival of our family unit.
Well, I think you're clinging to the most glamorous role of a man. I think those are the things you enjoy. Like that's exactly what you want. You want to go on a hunt that you enjoy. Bring home a deer carcass and slap it in front of our front door, and maybe like, oh my God, boo, you're the best hunter this side of this county, and I thank you so much for supplying tonight
because of what you did.
But hold on,
I'm saying that is an imaginary world that was the reality of the human existence for a long time, and I think the reason we do enjoy that hunt is because it's so hardwired into us to serve in that capacity.
And I do think if you have a wife with 4 kids at home who doesn't know how to hunt and doesn't work, and she relies on you to feed all of them, there is going to be a different feel. But you're focusing in on the one aspect that is your calling as a husband that you enjoy. The rest of the calling is all biblical, to be a leader of your family, and that includes emotionally, spiritually, physically. Like those are all callings from God, but you don't like some of those.
Well, I guess one of my questions would be, it would be interesting to go back in time 1,000 years, in let's say just observe a Native American culture. Like, was the woman asking the man,
"Oh God,
hey, you need to help around the teepee. Like, you need to help around here, all right? Like, was the woman asking the man, hey, I need some emotional support in the packaged as cuddling, or was she getting the emotional support that she needed by way of the man providing
just food,
shelter, protection,
No, like words of affirmation, no, like intimate time, no, like I love you, I'm grateful for you, thank you for raising our kids, like thank you so much for having the teepee clean, like none of that. He could just skip all of that. He just slapped the deer down, made sure the teepee wasn't leaking, and like that's pretty much it. And like check.
And made sure they didn't get attacked. They defended when the neighboring tribe, attacked.
But other than that, what did they do? Just sit around?
Well, that's a full-time job. Back then, that was a full-time job. Imagine the amount of time it would take if that was your job to do that, and you were living somewhere in the woods. Like, it would be everything you could do. And probably there would be many times. Look, I'm being very speculative right now. I'll just move on from this.
No, I'm enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it. My brain is trying to conjure up some analogy, because I love Jesus juking you, of like, husbands, love your wives as Christ loves the church. And that's kind of where my brain is going, is like, does that look like food, shelter, and protection exclusively, and like all of your emotional and spiritual needs, you're on your own? Like, I provided those 3 things, so you should be able to figure it out. Like, is that how Christ treats us?
Well, yeah, it's what does that look like in the society that we're living in right now? What should that actually look like? Because I struggle with this too, because thinking about having a child, a man cannot. He was not created to care for a child.
That's not true.
In the way that the mother can.
I agree.
Especially in when that thing's a really little baby, and it needs the mother just has some innate ability to pick up on things that little being needs. The man cannot do that, and it's like, well, now the man is expected to enter in to the caring for that child in ways that, like, how, yeah, I'm saying, like, what's the answer to that? How involved is the man?
Don't hold back.
How
in
involved
ways
is the
that
man supposed to be? Because you look at our grandfathers. Not saying that everything about the way they lived their life was right, but they didn't change freaking diapers. They didn't wake up in the middle of the night to feed a kid, because they were waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning to go out in the field and work so that the family could be provided for. You see what I'm saying? Like that, it hasn't been that long ago that men were not expected to do those things, and it was no problem. It was just the way it worked, and everybody was happy about it.
Was everybody happy about it?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I think some of what you're saying, men have more space and time now because they're not tending to, majority of men I know are not running a farm by themselves, and they're not working 12, 16 hours, 7 days a week.
100%.
And so if you have spare time and your wife just gave birth and her body's in like the biggest recovery of her life, Lord willing, she doesn't get in a bad accident or something, and you have this newborn and that's your person, and you have time because all of our jobs are super cushy and we kind of just do what we want, why wouldn't you change diapers? Why wouldn't you take a shift in the middle of the night?
Yeah, because what else are you going to do?
Why wouldn't you?
What else are you going to do?
And why is that damaging to the husband-wife relationship? I can see what you're saying about like how I have a full-time job, I can do everything, I don't necessarily need you. I could see how that dynamic could cause some problems, but I don't see how the husband entering in to more involvement in child rearing could cause issues. I don't know that we can say it wouldn't cause issues, because I think that it is going against what a man was created to do. But he's not fulfilling what he was created to do because there's not an opportunity to fulfill it anymore. So I think it causes tension in a man to be doing these things that he wasn't necessarily created to do and serving in a role that he wasn't necessarily created to serve in. One, he's not going to do it as good as the woman. That's true.
Two, he's serving in that role because he has all this open time, because he's not doing the things he was meant to do for all of human history beforehand, because it doesn't need to be done anymore. Yeah, I'm just wondering. I mean, that's just the way it is. That's the reality that we live in right now. I'm just wondering how that does impact the husband-wife relationship and the dependence on each other to uniquely serve in the roles that they're supposed to serve in. Like, how does that impact the husband-wife relationship? How does that impact the man and the woman both internally and together as a unit? It is impacting it in some way, shape, or form. I guarantee you it is, because we cannot trust and depend on each other the way that we used to be able to, because we don't have to. Mm-hmm.
No, you're right. I mean, I think you're exactly right about how the roles have become less defined from that traditional survival culture where like survival was what they were doing. Like,
they were surviving together. I mean, that requires a massive amount of trust and dependence. Yeah. And skill and competency. Yeah. And love for each other.
But the way you and I live, like especially the type of personality I have, like I like male-dominated things, and like I've outshot you before. Like I could protect our home if I had to. And I like working and I like being independent. But like the way that I see that you and I have done it and are doing it is the roles aren't always perfectly clearly defined, but we're a team. And we try, I think we both try to communicate needs clearly. Because that's the only way, when there's not clearly defined roles that you and I are aware of, unless we're talking to each other and saying, hey, I really need you to do this specific thing right now because of whatever. Yeah, there's no clear path for either one of us. But I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think it's good.
I think that I mean,
we're just
we obviously have to continuously figure out how to navigate the world that we live in. I think that this is essentially, we joke all the time about how well I do when there's a crisis in the family. Mm-hmm. I think this is why. Because when there is a crisis and I actually have a role to fulfill that only a man is created to fulfill in a unique way, it causes us to see each other uniquely created as part of this team, and it gives us both the ability to lean on each other. It gives a clear purpose. And only in a crisis now is the man able to step up and truly be like, I got this. Trust me. It's, I got this, man.
All the things that you are excited about in a man's role are things that are like hunting, protecting, entering into a crisis to save people.
Yeah.
Like,
it's very primal. It's very primal.
But like, I feel like the harder things, the harder the things are, the more you should deserve credit for them. And I feel like those little moments, like if you choose as a husband to change diapers and do that, nobody likes that. You think your wife likes changing a diaper? You think she enjoys that?
I have no idea.
Do you think she enjoys waking up in the middle of the night to a screaming kid?
Oh, probably not.
No. But like, just because something isn't fun or doesn't give you that like manly feeling of like, yeah, I'm doing this for my family, doesn't mean it's not your role and it's not your service to your wife and to your, I'm not going to make a case that I should not do and help with all of those things. Yeah.
Like,
I'm just not going to have fun while you're doing it.
I'm just saying that we're in a unique position.
Yeah.
Because of the time and the place and the technology and the grocery store and, we're just in a
Instacart.
We're in
Amazon.
We're in a really unique position, man. And it's, I think it's something that we should be conscious of because it is important, because we're still husband and wife team moving through this life. And if we're not conscious of this and we're not conscious of our roles in that, and we get sucked into all of a sudden confused about what are we even good at? Why do we even need to be a team? Like, what's the purpose of this? Things can get real confusing, and I think that can cause harm in people's marriage, So it's not that we're ever going to do it perfect. It's just something to be conscious of, both from the wife and the husband, I think.
Yeah. So all that being said, what started that conversation was me trying to articulate the new needs I have from you while being pregnant.
Yeah.
Like, my encouragement to men in that would just be to, like, don't ignore, like, if you sense that, like, your wife's a little off because she's pregnant, she may just be super confused, and I would just, be tender, because I've started showing now, and you've been way more vocal and, like, excited and involved, and that has, every time you do that, it means a ton to me. Because, again, I don't feel alone in this. But you'll ask me, you go, how's pregnancy going? You do that often. Mm-hmm. And that's really special to me, too. Because it's like, he's taking a minute to acknowledge that like my world is different and like things are happening, and you're asking me like an open-ended question where I get the opportunity to complain, be excited, share something new that happened with you. And I think if you didn't open that up a lot, I would feel self-conscious of like, oh, I'm so lame. Like all I want to talk about is pregnancy. Like I feel like that's, I'm making our world all about this and not that. And so when you do that, it just takes that pressure off of me. And like,
man, I appreciate that, Boo. It feels good to know I'm doing something right.
You're doing a lot of things right. Yeah. Why do you think you're not doing things right?
Well, I'm just learning as I go.
Yeah.
I'm just learning as I go.
I think I think you're definitely doing things right. But yeah, I'm very, very independent, and I've never wanted a lot of coddling from you in our marriage. And I want stuff from you now more than I ever have. And I don't understand it. If I figure it out, I'll let you guys know, but I don't think I will figure it out. I think there's there's so many weird biological things happening when you're like having a baby. A bunch of people have told me, and I've seen it before, and Huberman talked about it, how the biggest brain change a human can go through, aside from like an injury or something, is pregnancy to childbirth. Like a woman's brain, like gray matter changes, and you feel it. Like you just feel, one, you feel dumb for a while, but two, like things that
kind of feel that way all the time.
Things that were really important all of a sudden are not that important, and it's confusing. And you kind of feel like, I felt a couple times like, whoa, like I'm not as funny anymore, or I don't get as much enjoyment out of that, or all of a sudden I'm focusing on this a lot, and it's just weird. It's weird when your identity starts to shift and it's out of your control, and it's happening fast. It's just confusing. And yeah, I just think little questions like you ask, like, how's pregnancy going? It's just nice because you don't feel alone. But do you want to share the stuff we found out at the 20 week?
I mean, yeah, we can. I mean, it doesn't. I don't know what. I haven't done any research or anything on it, so
I don't mind sharing. It's just it's another fantastic example of what we're trying to communicate to everybody about, just the lack of perfection and control. But we went for our 20-week ultrasound a week ago, 2 weeks ago?
A week ago.
A week ago. And everything looked great, except I'm learning all of this, so if I say something wrong, just forgive me. The placenta is the organ that feeds the baby. The umbilical cord is supposed to go into the center of the placenta. Mine goes onto the side. So it's called a velamentous cord insertion. And the doctor, she was wonderful. She pulled us into her office after the ultrasound because we didn't know anything was wrong. And she started it by like, she drew a picture, and she's like, umbilical cords are supposed to be here. Yours is here. It's very rare. And as soon as she said the word rare, I like had an awful, awful physical reaction. I was just like, oh, frick. Like my worst fears are coming true. Like she's about to tell me like he's not going to live, or the chances are slim, or, it's crazy how rapid my mind just went down the toilet when she was like, this condition is rare. I was like, but come to find out, it's not a big deal. That mixed with the fact that I'm going to be 35 when I give birth makes us high risk now. And I asked that lady, I said, well, give me like worst case scenario with velamentous cord insertion. And she said, it's good that you don't have something called previa. You only have the cord insertion. So she said, worst case scenario is later in like your third trimester, the baby doesn't gain weight like he should. And then we have to induce, and you'll have a preemie, and we can, what did she say? Gosh, there's a name for it, like
put him in a pod.
Yeah, like feed him, and he would grow outside of the womb if that connection to the placenta wasn't good. And so she said she's delivered 4,500 babies. She's never seen that outcome. She's seen a lot of this lately. She said she's very curious why it's more common. They don't know what causes it.
Coronavirus.
But yeah, she just kind of like was like, yes, there's a possibility for complications, but the complications are very rare. You're probably going to have a normal pregnancy. And so we walked out of there, and Chadd, you seemed fine. I mean, you were like, I think you heard 4,500. I've never seen that, like a baby not gain weight. And I don't know, you just seemed fine, and I was not fine. I mean, I wasn't like crying or anything, but man, my mind was just, because like,
it's a letdown. It's a letdown because you're so hoping every time you begin something new, you're so you have the hope that it's all just going to go perfect. Like every time you go into the doctor's office, you're like, your hope is that it's all just going to go perfect.
Yes.
Look, abandon that hope. All right? Just abandon it. Anything that you start new in this life, in this world, just go ahead and say, there's going to be some crap that comes up during this journey here that's less than perfect. All right. Set that as your expectation, please. And then when you do go to the doctors, or you do make a deal, or you do something and it works perfect, you're like, dang, that was an anomaly. I cannot believe that just went perfect.
Yeah.
But don't let that become your hope or your expectation, because it is an anomaly. So that's what I was thinking in my mind. It's like, well, yeah, of course. Here's I don't know. Maybe it's because I have 2 more years of life than you.
No.
or maybe it's because of all the crap I went through in the military. In the military, anytime you plan anything, there's a saying that says Murphy always has a vote. Like bad luck, Murphy, whatever you call it. It's just trying to describe the fact that we live in a world where unexpected things happen. There's evil, there's bad, there's sickness, there's death, there's all this thing. So Murphy has a vote in everything. And we always knew that. So our anticipation always was, let's try to plan for everything that can go wrong. Let's try to have a contingency for that. And then once we do that, let's go ahead and know that something we didn't think of is going to go wrong. And that was my life, man. That was my life. And so that's what my mind goes back to. And I think maybe that's the reason I can deal with those things better. Yeah. Not perfectly. I didn't like the news any more than you did.
Yeah.
Because, man, yeah. You hopefully you do get that anomaly where everything does just go perfect. Like maybe that's a possibility.
Yeah.
It's not the likelihood.
Well, I am just an immature civilian, but my reaction to the situation was different. I felt scared, sad, and angry. And the anger was very like self-righteous. It was like, I was already afraid to have kids. Then I had a miscarriage. Then we had the spotting. Now, like, I had moved through all of that, and I genuinely thought,
smooth sailing ahead.
I just felt it in my bones. Like, I just feel so strong. I feel good. I feel him moving a lot. Like, I felt like it just in my mind, everything was perfect. And I was like, dude, we're so lucky. And like, I was living in that, I think almost every day of like, God, I'm so grateful that this is going so well. And like, then the transition of, you didn't get like terrible news. We have people in our immediate family, like what Summer went through with Nix, and finding out at 20 weeks that her baby had a likely fatal heart defect.
The spectrum of bad news is pretty broad.
So like that's why I call it self-righteous, is because I have people in my immediate circle who have gotten news 1,000 times worse than that. Our chances of complications are rare, but I was so mad that I didn't get to believe that things were perfect anymore. And that like I had to hold now for the rest of this pregnancy that something isn't ideal. Mm-hmm. And like it was just another one of those moments of like, you have no control over any of this.
Yeah.
And like, you think you've been taking your fish oil and eating all your greens and doing all this right. And like, just like, nope, it didn't work. Like you didn't control everything and keep it perfect. Like, good job. But you know, I was sharing with Brittany this morning, the night before we found out about the cord insertion thing, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I pray a lot at night if I can't sleep. It's just something I do. I don't know why I do it. And the night before, I found myself praying. I don't think I've shared this with you. I found myself praying, and I was apologizing to God because I haven't been focused on Him like at all. Mm-hmm. And I've barely read my Bible. I've just been been happy. Things have felt kind of easy and good. Yeah. And I just haven't been relying on Him or even giving Him any of my time. And I like that night I woke up and I was just like, I'm sorry, Lord, I'm going to do better on that. And like on the way to the doctor that morning, I picked out a podcast that was focused on like making sure you're spending time with God and relying on God and you're not. And then that happened. And then that afternoon, what was happening in my heart and mind, I like realized the only way that I was going to have peace in that situation was to turn it over to Him. Mm-hmm. This is the only way. Like if I tried to hold any of that, I could get through it, but I wasn't going to have peace again. Mm-hmm. And so I was just like, all right. So I was walking and talking out loud by myself. Yeah, because I told you I went without the dogs. And I was like, all right. And I was a little sassy about it. But I was like, fine. Like, I'm not saying you did this, but I am going to, I know I'm not being punished, but I'm going to do better. And I feel right now that I have to rely on you in this. And the outcome of whatever happens to this child is up to you and not up to me. And just like, and I felt fine about it ever since. Yeah. And I'm like, okay.
That's the great thing about the tribulation that we do experience. And there's where we see the immediate answer to the the immediate realization that the promise is true is like, when that happens, you immediately see that this bad thing that happened, although it is still bad, you can say, okay, that's good. Yeah. Like, it's still bad, it still sucks, it still might be marred and messed up and all that stuff, but you can at least say, man, okay, well, this has really made me focus on what I ought to be focusing on some level. You know, and without that, without, a lot of people say, why does evil exist? Why does things have to go wrong, this and that? I'm not saying I know the answer to that, but I will say, if evil exists, it exists for some good reason. It exists for some good reason. I believe that. And one of the good reasons that I can see for why evil exists is because if we did not experience hardship that was beyond our ability to control, if we did not experience hardship, you imagine what would happen to us? We would completely ignore that. We would get to the point where we would never be able to realize our need for our Lord. Like, can you imagine what would happen to our relationship with our Father? It would just go away.
No, that happens to me. This year has felt like a season of rest. Like, yes, we've lost Jada. We've had some hard times, but like everybody in our life is healthy. You and I are not going through any kind of medical or mental crisis. And like, it's felt like a season of rest for me. I don't know but like, those are the seasons where I am just like, meh. Mm-hmm. Like, I still think about God, but I just don't ask him for help every day.
100%. I mean, I'm the exact same way.
Yeah. So yeah, that was definitely, I had the kind of like funny / I'm not okay with this thought of like, say everything is okay. And that was just meant to be there to shake me up a little bit, to like point me back to like, oh no, you need me. You think you don't need me. But especially going into what type of season we're going to go into, I feel like I wrote you a note the other day and I said the things I want for this child right now is like, I want us to be able to teach him to love the Lord. I want him to love nature, and I want to teach him to suffer well. And it's like, man, what better thing can I do than hone in my relationship and my ability to listen to God in these next 5 months? Because like, my extra time once he comes here is probably going to be limited for a while. So yeah, that was a good, weird, disappointing wake up call. But yeah, so now we're every month we get an ultrasound to measure his progress, to make sure he's growing right. And right now he's growing perfect, but that could change. So,
and we're if you're watching on YouTube, we are searching our brains for a name. So if if you have name suggestions, drop them in the comments here.
Chadd is solely in charge of the name.
Yeah, if you have name suggestions, drop them in the comments.
The only name, I have veto power, and he's come up with like 5 names, and he came up with the name Jubal. But the first time you told it to me, you didn't know it was Jubal, and you said Jubal.
That's how I pronounce it.
And you said I'm going to name him Jubal. And I said, I think I gave it a couple days because I was like, maybe I don't hate it as much as I think I do. And then I came back and I was like, no, I'm sorry. I got to veto that one.
Yeah. Well, we'll come up with something. Maybe the listeners can help us with that. Who knows? Anything else you want to cover, Booba?
Pregnancy, childbirth. I don't know. No. How long have we been going?
Long time. Over
2 hours. Jeez. No, I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Merry Christmas.
This is going out on Christmas Eve tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow, yeah.
Merry Christmas.
And Lord willing, we'll see y'all on Monday. Nuff said.
That was 2 hours.